Good morning. I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. It is Monday, August 18th. It is now 8:30, and we're meeting in the Town Hall. We're back in our regular quarters again. So, first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask Selectman McKelvey to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Gary. Item 2 is public forum, limited to 3 minutes on the agenda item. Anybody wishing to address the board? I see no one wishing to address the board. We'll move on to item 3, which is the approval of the minutes of July 21st, 2014, regular meeting. Do I have a motion, please?
Move we accept.
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of July 21st? Anybody? No?
I wasn't here.
Okay. See none. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One abstention?
Tracy, I'm not here.
3 affirmative, 1 abstention. Okay, thank you. Item 4, Town Engineer Jim Portley, 4.1, receive public input on Westlake Avenue project, pavement project. Jim, want to brief us on that?
Good morning.
I'm going to step out for a moment.
Some months ago, we began, I told the Board of Selectmen we were making an application for the program through the state for the milling and paving of Westlake Avenue under the LOTS program. It's a new program that's funded through state bonding. The plans are prepared and completed. We have brought them to the Council of Governments. We will have review this week, with peer review. Part of our final submittal will have to be that we have approval from the Council of Governments, which I expect to have tomorrow, because we have the meeting tomorrow, with the other engineers. We have to have a checklist of information that we have prepared and reviewed by the state, which we have done. I have secured a permit, an encroachment permit for some work we'll have to do on Route 1 where Westlake Avenue meets Route 1. I've secured that. So now we have to have an opportunity for public input. It's an opportunity over the next couple of weeks where I bring the plans today. It's a very straightforward job. We start at Route 1 and we end at the North Branford line, and we're going to repave that road. That's in essence the job. But there needs to be a period of public input. Tracy will put in the paper news release and an advertisement that we're going to do this job, and we're going to be, if anybody wants to have input, they have the next 2 weeks to contact us, and there'll be a telephone number for that. As I said, we've prepared this full set of plans. It really is a very straightforward, easy job. It's intended to upgrade the surface of Westlake Avenue. It's a road we rebuilt in the late 70s through the 80s over a period of sections. We just never had the money to do the whole thing. This program will allow us to take the top 1 inch of pavement off it with a milling process and then repave the whole road. In that process, we will also replace the catch basin tops, put new curbs in, and just kind of dress the road up. So it's kind of a good thing for Westlake Avenue. So with that all said, it begins a 2-week period of which we will take any public comments. Anybody along the road wants to come in and discuss how their driveway will be worked out, because we will, in this process, also mill out the driveways and put new driveway aprons on all the driveways that abut the road, as well as the intersecting streets. It's a little more than $1 million project. Again, it's 100% funded through the state, no cost to the town, so it's kind of in my mind, it's a no-brainer. So that's all needs to be said at this point in time. There will be, as I said, opportunity for public input. And I would suggest that we come back the next first selectmen's meeting in September. If there are any comments, I will bring them to the board. If there are none, then I would ask the Board of Selectmen to sign the certification that it meets the town standards for design and for public input. And there's a form that is provided by the state for that. So that's it in a nutshell. Any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Jim, right now, that project is under peer review with the Council of Governments engineers, right?
And that'll be done tomorrow.
Okay.
Is there a dollar amount that sets the limit of whether or not it's a minor project and can just be posted versus a public hearing?
There's nothing in their guidelines. It just says minor projects, as I quote, "A public posting on the town's website in conjunction with posting in the local newspaper and press release would suffice." It's a paving project. in essence.
If perchance, I understand that it's fairly minor, but if perchance we get a lot of feedback, we can still have a public hearing.
Absolutely. If there's somehow a you and outcry that people don't want a new pavement, then I think it'd be a good idea to bring them all together.
Just be ready. Okay. Do you need a motion to just put on?
No, I
No,
think it's
yeah.
sufficient.
And you might have mentioned as well, I stepped out, but this is the first project on the new LOTSA program.
Right, that's the first in the region. We were the first one in the region. Excuse me? You're telling me I don't have any more money. Okay. Apologize.
Okay. Any questions on that? No. Thank you. Jim, you want to move on to 4.2, discuss
Yes.
and take possible action to revise the purchase contract for the 2015 tandem axle dump truck, I should say dump, okay? Bid number 22-1314, subject to the recommendation from the Board of Finance in accordance with the April 9th, 2013 bond resolution.
Okay. In January, the Board of Selectmen approved the purchase of a 2014 Mack cab and chassis under bid 22-1314. At that time, because we were trying to get everything in that bid, and we set up the bid so there were things that we could add or take away. We didn't have enough money in the bond item to cover the full cost of the new body and a stainless steel sander for the truck. The appropriation that was approved in the bond issue was $195,000. We thought at the time, when we priced out the component parts, that we would have enough time with staff to outfit the truck by buying the parts and having the Public Works Department staff put it together. The long winter and the damage it did to the other equipment we have, and the work we have to do to get them ready again for next winter, which is unfortunately pretty close before you know it, it just won't let us outfit the truck. So we went back and revisited the bid, and it was decided that if we just take the sander out, the stainless steel sander out of the bid, that we could get the price of the truck and the body and everything else that we need below the $195,000. And it's such that by going that way, we could have the truck ready. We would refurbish the sander that was in the old truck. It's not a stainless steel sander, but we can get it to work for 2 or 3 years, and then hopefully with time we'll get some more money to buy a new stainless steel sander. So we brought this to the Public Works Commission last Wednesday. The meeting was changed. Last Wednesday, they approved this approach where we would get this truck outfitted and be ready for winter this year. So I would recommend that the Board of Selectmen authorize a revision in the contract with Gabrielli Truck Sales of Milford to include the purchase of the truck body as discussed in the bid specifications of bid number 22-1314 minus the steel spreader for the additional sum of $75,000. That's $75,462 in addition to the price that was agreed to, brings the total price of the truck and chassis to $194,025, which is below the $195,000 that was appropriate.
Jim, I got a couple of questions, so stick with me. On the original bid, the Freightliner bid for all the stuff that goes on, it was substantially less, but did that only apply to a Freightliner truck? So we couldn't go back and take that equipment and put it on this truck?
Right, no, we could not.
Okay, 'cause there was-
And that truck
Okay.
didn't meet specifications.
Yeah, no,
Right.
that's fine, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure, because the equipment was significantly less. The number that's in here without the sander is 10,980. Does that imply that it's about 7,000 to install the sander?
No, that was 10,980 plus, if it was gonna be a stainless steel, it was an additional 3,500.
Right.
Yeah.
But the difference between the 3250 and the 1098, is that the installation?
32
3250 is the, or 3500 is the price of the
stainless steel,
steel
in
sander.
addition to the original, to the steel.
But the deduct is 10980.
Right, and that goes back to this, when we went back in January, we 10,980 was the, for deductive no sander, if you look at this last sheet. Yeah,
Right.
that was it. Yeah, that was the sander is a kind of a component unit you put in. It's not, it's for the price of what was just a straight steel sander, with all the components on it. This, if we wanted to have stainless steel, it would have to have 3,500 to that, so it would have been,
It's 3,500 additional, it's not
Additional to-
3,500.
yeah.
Oh, okay,
It already included the price of a steel one, and
Right.
then it was an additional
It was an upgrade.
3,500.
okay,
Yeah.
Excuse me.
okay. And then therefore, my third question is kind of, my understanding is there was, and this may not be, I'm just throwing this out. I believe there was some money left in the maintenance budget at the end of 2014. I mean, do we have any possibility? I'm kind of looking at doing it right. Is there any possibility that we could take 3,500 from the 2014 maintenance budget and buy this? As long as we're doing it
It
all.
wouldn't be the 3,500, it would be 14,000.
Okay, so it's the 10 plus the
Right,
35.
yeah,
Okay.
basically 11, which is 10,980 plus 35, it'd be like 14,500.
There is a certain logic to this.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if we were allowed to do that, we'd be very grateful, but I don't, that's, Board of Selectmen,
What do you think?
we're trying to work with
And
it.
you're
with what we
saying
got.
2 or 3 years for the existing one?
You know, we'll, you know, those guys down there are amazing, they can keep stuff going, although the salts eating are steel, straight steel.
My biggest worry, you said it's a component that they literally place in the body.
Yeah.
So it is a matter of, in 2 or 3 years, when we can afford the stainless steel, we having to refit, refabricate
Oh,
or
no,
something like that.
there's
It's a slip-in unit.
Exactly, right. You pull the tailgate off the dump truck, and you just slide the sander in,
And then
and it's all, that's self, you know. you-
Existing one
you hook it up.
versus a stainless steel one in a few years, hopefully will be fairly interchangeable.
Yes, and the specification, we'll have the body, so we order the spreader to
At
just
that
fit
point
within
in
that
time, in
body.
3 or 4 years, we have that much newer machine.
Pam?
Yeah,
So, Jim, do you think we got a really good discount with the way this was bid out in terms of like the price of that stainless steel? Or do you think,
I don't think there's any, it's just what it is. It's not a real great discount. We're not getting it, it's just, it was just the materials to fabricate the thing.
I'm more concerned with the difference of the 194 and what we originally approved, which is a $75,000 difference.
Right.
Okay, and the reason why you want us to approve the 194 instead of the original 118, I think it was, is because
Yes.
the guys down at the garage don't have the time to put the body on the chassis.
Right.
Okay. If we were to stick to the original quote and save $75,000, which is a considerable amount of money, when would they have the time to do it? Now, before you answer that, can we go through another winter with the present equipment and save the $75,000?
No,
Why not?
because, this is a truck, we're taking a truck that was really on its last legs, and we were slotted to replace it this year with this truck. So over the last couple of years, we kept it going, but we avoided any major investment in the truck. I wouldn't, if we have a winter like we did last year, this other truck we're replacing would not make it through.
And we
That's
would
right.
probably have to put some time and effort into refurbishing that one to
Yes.
get it ready for the winter.
Yeah, and all what we're buying now is basically the cab and the chassis with no way of using it we could plow with it, but we wouldn't be able to, you'd have to do something in the back to have the weight so that you'd be able to plow. It wouldn't be able to use it for sanding, and so I would strongly recommend against it. I think we're not gonna save the $75,000. Our thought all along was that we would have to go out and spend that $75,000 to buy the component parts. So that, we're not saving anything. We were gonna use that $75,000 to buy the component parts, and our labor was gonna be used to put it all together.
The 75,000
Yeah, we were gonna-
wasn't labor, it was partially parts and equipment.
It was all-
to
We
accomplish.
weren't saving 75, we were just saving
Paying it out
the
of a
labor
different
cost of
area.
installing it by doing it ourselves.
Where was the 75 gonna come out of then?
Yeah, that's.
It was
what I'm-
coming out of the original appropriation, $195,000.
Chassis plus the 75
Oh,
would
okay.
have,
So it wasn't
would have added to the
118, 115, it
195.
was 180 plus whatever it's gonna cost to fit it up.
Right. I mean, what we had appropriated was $195,000.
So you weren't saving 75?
No,
No.
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 Okay, all right. The
No,
way
we
it
were
wa-
simply
the-
doing it in-house
The
versus-
way it was presented, it looks like you were saving 75,
Oh,
at
only,
least the way I understood it.
no, the only idea was that we were gonna save basically the labor of outfitting. We were gonna buy all the component parts
Right.
at about 75,000, more or less, to make a whole truck. We were gonna try to absorb the labor of putting that together in the department, but this winter went so long, and we had such repairs that we had to do on the existing.
What did I-
It makes it sound like now we're getting labor for free anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
But we're not getting a sander. We're having them put it all together, but we won't have a new sander. We're gonna, the
So it's the
14,000.
cost of the sander we're replacing
Right.
with the labor of getting it assembled.
Correct. Yeah, the sander, total sander price for stainless steel was about 14,500.
And that's approximately what we're saving in labor, or would have been saving in labor, but we're paying for now.
Yes. It's part of what the deal with them is, having them put it together.
Is there any impact on the warranty or the extended warranty by not putting the stainless steel
No.
sander in now?
That warranty is on the truck itself.
Okay.
And
Yeah, the sander's a separate
Separate issue.
issue. Okay, that I
And we're
do.
probably better off warranty-wise,
Yeah.
because now they're doing a package. They have no excuses. Can't blame us for,
There's always excuses. But yes, yeah, I mean, the warranty is really on the truck and the engine.
do we need a motion on this?
Sure do.
Just one more quick. Are these, didn't we discuss when we were doing the capital budget that some of the new equipment would be computer operated? And maybe is the sander tied into the truck in
Wait a
terms
minute.
of its controls in the cab?
Oh, there are controls in the cab for the sander, yes, absolutely,
Will that work on the old sander?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. That,
okay,
basically, it's the same kind of controls
okay.
for the two.
So we need a motion then to approve
Yeah, I
the
did.
purchase
Go ahead.
of the truck body as discussed in the bid specifications of bid number 22-1314 minus a steel sander spreader for the additional sum of $75,462.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second it for discussion. I'm okay with it as long as the sander is a component and it's a slip-in type thing. I think we can wait a few years for that. I do struggle with the original bid and calculation because I don't know if we were all totally clear the first time through. I think we're all right with it now, but,
I don't think we were, because I have the minutes of January 23rd, where we originally approved the truck for $118,000. And the discussion went on, but the pertinent point was that the Public Works Commission endorsed the award of the bid to Gabrielli in the amount of $115,000 plus $3,200 for the extended warranty, for a total of $118,563. It doesn't say anything about the $75,000 for parts and components. Okay, now the
I do
motion,
recall that.
the motion was upon a motion made by Ms. Cartier and second by Mr. Havitter. You seconded it. The Board of Selectmen voted unanimously, which we all voted on, that the bid 22-1314 for the 2015 tandem axle dump truck with plow and sander to Gabrielli Truck Sales in the amount of $115,313 for the plow and sander, with the option of an extended warranty in the amount of $3,250 for a total of $118,563, subject to the recommendation from the Board of Finance in accordance with the April 9, 2013 bond resolution. And we all voted on it, and no one opposed it. Didn't say anything about the $75,000, and that's where I was thrown.
Well, in the first paragraph of our present sheet, though, it says that the truck is now at Gabrielli, and staff has discussed options for outfitting it for this winter. And the key sentence here is, due to the heavy workload, it is not possible for staff to do all work in-house, so the original bid that included the complete truck was revisited.
I agree with that. But I
think we must have understood, though, that the other 75 had to come from somewhere.
Yes.
I mean, he was not asking for it because it wasn't bid on at that point, and we didn't have to pay for it at that point.
Let's go back to the original bid sheet.
yeah.
It was on the bid sheet,
It was-
yeah.
We had the bid for the complete truck, and the bid from Gabrielli at that time was $201,755. We had an alternate, which is the cab and chassis. We also had option A, which is the extended warranty, which we opted to do at the last time. And then option B was the stainless steel spreader. If it came in good, that would have, if all things would have been okay, we would have had a complete truck for less than, let's say, roughly $90,000, and with extended warranty and the stainless steel spreader would have all come in under $195,000. That's not the reality. It didn't come in that way. So all we could afford to do, if at the time was, in our own minds, was to buy the cab and chassis with the extended warranty, and then go back and buy the component parts and put them together. And so what I brought to you back in January was that proposal. After discussing with the Public Works Commission, we would buy the truck with the extended warranty, and then we'd come back piece by piece and do the complete outfitting by having our guys put it all together.
yeah, it was, I don't know if I go all the way back memory-wise, but I'm comfortable with that recollection of it, is that, we couldn't get a Mack truck done complete for the price, okay? So what we were gonna do is buy parts of it from Gabrielli.
Right.
And then do the balance of it ourselves, and that would make it come in within the 195 or 200. I mean, that was generally my recollection of how we were going to accomplish it. That's why when Gary was questioning the differences, I did understand that we were buying some parts at that point, well, actually buying it, not doing the labor.
Right.
If we were in different circumstances right now, I probably would have just gone ahead and done the whole thing somehow. $10,000 doesn't seem like a lot for the labor part.
I guess we didn't ask the right questions back then. What's the difference between a chassis and a cab and a complete truck? Shame on
No,
us.
I
I think you might have, it's a long.
I think the
8
question we
months.
didn't ask is, are you gonna have the labor to do this?
No, I think we asked the
We did
question,
ask
'cause
that.
I
We
always,
did ask
too.
that. Yeah.
I'm always concerned that, we don't appreciate
And that's
the
your-
cost
that's right.
of our employees. And, to put the labor in at zero, frankly, is inaccurate. I mean,
Right.
You know, it does cost us, you know,
Yeah.
there's no point in making believe it doesn't. And I remember questioning that part of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one thing, I mean, effectively what we were saying, in order to come in under the allotted amount,
95.
we were simply putting in the cost of the parts and equipment and not putting any factor in for labor. I think that question was asked.
Yeah.
And, you know, okay, it's not a filler this year, and that's what it comes down to. We have more than enough work. I mean, I see him working on Saturdays, so obviously there's a lot of work going on.
Yeah.
There is, I agree with that. Okay, we have a motion, you want to read that motion, Trace, please? So we know what we're doing.
I would go that far.
Basically, it's the last paragraph on the,
Yeah, it's just the paragraph.
And I seconded it, so.
Yeah, we're gonna-
Do you have it?
yeah, it's basically just to, approve the revision to the purchase contract for the 2015 tandem axle dump truck, bid 221314, the additional amount of $75,462, subject to recommendation, from Board of Finance.
Okay, is there any further discussion on the motion?
I will vote for the motion. I just would ask, Joe, that you and maybe Sheila and Jim think a little bit about whether there's any excess from last year's budget and whether it makes sense to just do it right.
I don't know if I'd use the terms do it
I
right.
don't-
Do it all at once and make it consistent.
While you're still in the process of discussion, I do have the original memo I submitted in January that discusses the fact that we were gonna have to buy all this equipment. And it had attached the list of the component parts we would have to bid. I think it was fully vetted
Yeah,
at that
I
time.
remember the discussion about
Yeah.
my gut feeling about the true cost of labor. You
Yeah.
know, we can't just say it's free.
No, and it was, I go back to what I had available to me, which was Ralph Casey's estimation, the town estimated labor time, 2 men, 30 working days at the time, to put it all together, which is,
So we're,
it's a pretty substantial.
so we're all clear, the final cost of this truck is $194,025.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Without a sander.
Without, what's
Without
that?
the sound.
Without
Without
the
a
sander.
Without the
stainless
new
steel,
sander,
without
yeah.
a stainless steel sander,
Sander,
but
yeah.
we will have a refurbished existing.
Okay. And the appropriation that was approved in the referendum on April 2013 was $195,000. Okay, so we're all agreeing with that.
And the refurbished sander's gonna last 2 to 3 years, and Jim's gonna sign off starting today.
Okay. At this point, if there's no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Okay,
Thank you all.
all right, thank you.
Your roads will be the first one plowed.
On camera, too.
Joe, I know this is out of order, but Jim's gonna leave. There was a meeting, a public hearing the other night that Charles and I attended.
On the Greenway
On the
Trail.
Greenway Trail, and Jim made a presentation of what was going on for the Greenway Trail on Route 1. It was very well accepted. There were a number of positive comments, and
Jim did a
Jim's
good
staff has
job.
done a good job in doing this and in presenting it and talking to the neighbors, and the neighbors were generally pleased.
Very supportive. yeah.
Very supportive, and people around, people on neighboring streets were supportive, so it
Good.
went very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's taken a while, but we're getting there.
We're gonna get there.
Good, thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item 5. I'm going to ask, which is the finance director, she's ill this morning, I'm going to ask if we can table that.
Someone-
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Item 6, Deputy Police Chief Jeff Hutchinson. 6.1, consider and take possible action on award of bid 3-1415, the HVAC upgrade for the police department, subject to the recommendations from the Board of Finance in accordance with April 9, 2013 bond resolutions. Good morning.
Morning.
Chief, you can join us, or? He's your backup.
Coming back.
Okay.
So as you know,
We're
sometime...
finally there, huh?
Well, I don't know.
Almost.
As you know, some time ago, we started developing plans at the recommendation of our Mr. Nydorf and our contractors who handle our HVAC systems to upgrade, replace, repair the HVAC system in the police building. We've been experiencing some problems with some of the components in there and the balancing and the, one room's hot, one room's cold, breakdowns in air conditioning units, et cetera. So some time ago, we undertook plans to replace all that. What we're looking at today is the result of input from the Standing Building Committee, the Board of Police Commissioners, and the hired engineering contractor, DTC, who developed the design plans for the project we're looking at. As far as technical questions, Ryan Neely from DTC is here if you had any of those. But for my part and the police department, the police commission is endorsing the recommendation of the Standing Building Committee to accept the bid from Commercial Air that was submitted and to move forward with this project.
Pam, is there anything you want to add to that? Okay, we're looking at the base bid, I believe, of $96,280. Is that correct, Chief?
I think it was the base and the alternates.
Okay.
Yeah, it's his base bid plus alternates,
Right.
or 134,566. Again, and I know we use Commercial Air for a lot, I'm always astounded at the gap between some of these bids, which, I mean, I'm looking at one of them, and just doing a quick math, it runs almost $280,000.
Yeah, I was actually one of the witnesses at the bid opening, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Well, you were there, too.
It's quite a range.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And it appears as though the duct cleaning it's a remarkable difference between what one did versus the other, and
5,000 versus 37,000.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've discussed that with Ryan from DTC, and I think he's discussed that with the bidders, and they've assured him that, and I don't want to speak for Ryan, but
Ryan, you're welcome to join the table here.
well, Commercial Air is your existing
they are.
They are,
contract.
yeah.
So they may know that the ducts are relatively clean, and the others are
Yeah.
just doing I don't know.
Part of it is, I discussed it with a couple of the contractors. Typically, duct cleaning ends up being somewhere around $4 to $6 a linear foot of duct. Higher side, the bigger the duct. I had a discussion with Commercial Air because that's the first thing I also picked out. And I went over with them multiple times and reiterated that they own the scope of cleaning all the duct work. They told me multiple times, yes, we know that. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're in there all the time and that they know exactly how hard it will be to get to different pieces of the duct and what sort of condition different areas are in, where the other guys who aren't in the building don't. I think that contributes to some of their lower prices. They know exactly what's broken and what isn't in the systems that we're calling for them to replace and look at. The other guys have to make an educated guess. There's always an outliner. Holzner usually is high. Reason being is that they're primarily an electrical company that subcontracts a lot of their HVAC. So there's an additional 10 to 15% usually on Holzner's bids. Save More and Action Air typically are around the same. I think it's just that your Commercial Air happens to work in the building already and knows. I confirmed with him that he talked to every one of the sales reps that we suggested, especially for the energy management system, to ensure that he had everything. I confirmed with the sales rep that he had talked to them. They've done previous work in your town that no one on the building committee had any issues with. The building committee actually asked to make sure that I included them within the bid. So I mean, it's not my job to make sure they make money. It's just to make sure they do what they're bound to do by the documents.
Okay.
You know, and they've been in there so much. It might actually be a boon in that they know what the intricacies of the system already, and they're not gonna have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out where this wire goes. They've already had to deal with it before.
Okay.
Sounds like a gift horse in the mouth.
No, okay.
I would move that we approve bid number 3-1415 for the HVAC upgrades for the police department.
Second.
We need an amount on that.
Oh, I'm sorry, in the amount of $134,566. It's a
correct.
commercial air of North Branford.
That's what I got as a total, so we agree. Okay. Is, you
Still
second that? Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, just one question.
Right.
Once we award the bid, what would be the timing on it?
I think if I remember, we had 2 months of construction duration. Lead time, typically it's gonna take them about a month to get their shops in, get everything approved, get, probably the dehumidifier is probably gonna take 2, maybe 3 weeks. So you're looking about 3.5 months total. I'd have to look at the front of the specs exactly, but we set, I think they were supposed to be completely done end of November
Okay.
with all balancing and everything, I believe. I'd have to look back at the front end though. I think we gave them 90 days total duration. That includes shop drives.
Great.
Do you remember what did we put in the budget and the bond resolution for this?
The building committee said there was like 130. I recommended finding a way to find the extra 4,000.
What we're gonna do with that, Gary, is initially there was $50,000 was taken out for the design, which is, we already spent that. We spent it last year, was taken out of the capital. The rest of this is coming out of that energy fund.
Okay.
Okay, which is a bonded item. That's where that money's coming from, okay? Any further discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye, unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
This means chief will start complaining about the
Winter jacket. It's the Afghan off across his legs that I can't get past.
You'll have air conditioning in December now.
That was me. That was me.
Fire chief is happy. Okay, let's move along. Item 7, Fire Chief Charles Hershev. And Maria Fahey. Good morning.
Good morning.
Discuss and take possible action to waive bidding for purchase of ambulance remount.
This is the 12th time over 21 years that I've been here to do this for the same manufacturer. I did it 2 years ago for the remount of the ambulance from, this would be the 4th time that this was going down for its new box. We're saving about $170,000 by doing so. So they give you a lifetime warranty again. They renew the warranty on the current module, which is a 1993, for a lifetime again of 20 years, what they say. And they also renew the 10-year electrical warranty on it for 10 more years. So, and the price of that is, which includes a new chassis, is $83,809.60. I didn't bring my glasses, so hope that number's right. I don't want to burn the paper.
Okay. You don't want to stretch him? Okay, and this would be Excellence, excuse me, is the,
In Alabama.
right. Okay. And basically, for the viewing public here, is what they do is they take the box off the existing chassis.
That's correct.
And put it on a brand-new
Right,
chassis.
we'll put it on a Chevy. It's coming from a Ford onto a Chevy.
And, so we get gone off with brand-new miles and everything, and the equipment just transfers from one.
What's the
Vehicle
mileage
to
on the
another.
existing vehicle?
130,000 plus.
And how many years do we get out of that?
Normally 2 to 3 years. We rotate them out.
Good. How long does that take?
It takes about 3 to 4 months, right? We probably won't be sending this down there to probably November, because I gotta order the chassis. And once the chassis arrives, then we drive the box down. Obviously on a chassis.
Okay. Motion?
Well, I move that we waive the bidding for purchase of an ambulance remount. And that, do we need to put in that it's a Chevrolet C3 500
You just have
And
to
the-
put it.
And the total
slots,
cost
yeah.
is $83,809.60.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we just, for the motion, put its excellence as the vendor.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent.
Right.
Excellence Incorporated.
Still second, and this is coming out of the operating budget in 2015. Okay. Motion's made, seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seems like there's no discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thank you, Chief. Item 8, Agricultural Society, consider and take possible action on an application from the Agricultural Society for noise control ordinance variance for its Guilford Fair. I thought I saw Barbara Hamlin here.
She was here, but she might have,
Okay, somebody want to contact her?
is this in case a horse
Horse
whinnies
sauce?
or cow moves or something, or?
All right, while we're getting Barbara back up here, why don't we just move on if there's no problem with that?
Yeah.
Carrie?
We need Barbara? I mean, we do this every year.
Okay, I mean, if you don't need her, we can just move along. If somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion
Okay.
that we approve the.
I'll second it.
Okay, we're going to pass it, so, okay. Motion was made and seconded? No.
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. It's the annual event, we don't seem to have a problem with that.
Made by
Thank you.
McElhenney, second by Haverda. Motion was made by Mr. McElhenney, it was seconded by Mr.
There
Haverda,
you go.
and it was unanimous.
Consider and take possible action on a certified resolution from the, for the Guilford Covenant Monument Project and the informational kiosk grants from the Department of Economic and Community Development, and authorize the first selectman to sign. This is a grant that the town has received for the covenant and for the kiosk. Somebody want to make a motion so that we can accept this?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Selectman McKelney and seconded by Selectman Dallas Tracy.
And the kiosk is
That's going to be.
down there? Or-
No,
oh,
no,
oh,
it's
this is
the one that's going
By
to
the
be in front
community
of
center.
the.
Kiosk by the community center,
And we
okay.
know where the covenant is, we're not
Oh,
moving
yeah,
it.
no, I
Okay. Motion was made and seconded, is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Item 10, discuss and take possible action on a proclamation declaring September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item 11, we have 3 appointments, resignations, actually 3 appointments. 11.1, act on a recommendation to appoint Eva Besmer to the Inland Wetlands Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire February 28th, 2018. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion, I'm sorry, I need a motion.
Your motion.
Okay. Getting ahead of myself.
So moved, second.
All in favor? Aye. There we go. Item 11.2, act on a recommendation to appoint Paul May as an alternate to the Conservation Commission to fill a vacancy for a term to expire February 28, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Act on a recommendation to appoint Claire Kincaid Dunn to the Human Services Council.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Request for the use of town property?
I would move that we approve the 5 signs and 2 uses. Actually, 1 use, because I'd like to,
You want to hold off on one?
I
then?
want to hold off on 12.5 for
Okay.
a moment.
Okay.
So the first 4 listed for 5 signs and 1 use.
The
As
motion's
listed
made, do
in
I have
the
a
agenda.
second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
And then
Let's
my
go to
my
4.
question,
All right. sorry.
12.5 is the Art Center.
Yeah.
Use of the green.
Yep.
Have we gotten the report yet from staff on everything that happened?
No, not yet.
And I just,
We can table
again,
it.
we have the constant question of those that like it there, those that think it should be somewhere else. And I hate to revisit it, but I guess, last year, I think we waited for the report from staff.
And we did. I have no problem if you want to table it. The one thing that I have heard from The police department, this was the first year, they did not change the traffic pattern. They kept it as we normally have traffic pattern, and it's worked out beautifully. There was no confusion. I found it to be fine, and the police said it worked out real good. If you want to wait to the post meeting, I think it'd be great.
I think it would be a good, it's
Yeah.
almost like a policy anyway.
Yeah.
that-
Right,
Okay, take a motion to table?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Trace would just put a follow-up to check with staff on their meeting, okay? Okay, correspondence, building officials report, and you see the Public Works monthly report in your packet. Just to go back to the Arts Center, I think they had excellent attendance, I found out. They did very well, and I haven't heard of any issues, but we'll wait for the staff report. Okay.
Regarding the building
Yes, sir.
officials report, I know I get questions, but I don't necessarily know the answers. If there's ever a meeting where we have a very limited agenda, would it be prudent to bring the building official and just sort of maybe do a quick review, or maybe have them submit a list of what items need to be approved, what needs permits, what doesn't need permits? I mean, does anybody else get questions on, do I need a permit for this, do I need a permit for that?
Generally, I don't get
Okay.
any questions on that at all.
Okay.
Are you talking about building permits?
Yeah.
Yeah, people say, well, do I need a building permit to do this? Do I need a
Well,
building permit to do
from my
that?
experience on P&T, I automatically refer them to Town Hall South simply because the regulations are very complex, they're very legal, and they change.
So there's probably,
I mean, unless
I
it's
do the
something
same, but
very
there's
general.
probably no simple
I often
discussion.
get the
There is
discussion.
none, yeah.
I've gotten, over the years, discussions about sheds, do you need for it, and, the question is, it constantly changes and you can't memorize the regulations, but the placement of sheds is very important to people and neighbors, so that's what I've done personally, it's just, code to the people that can dot the i's and cross the t's.
I always tell, if I'm ever asked a question, which is very rare, I just say, just check with the department and play safe. Okay. Generators, yeah, you need them. That's where you collect a lot of fees. But if you'd like to have them come to a meeting, I'd be happy to
but,
schedule.
stuff like re-roofs,
Yes,
redecking.
yep.
Well, the problem with that is you would normally think a repair doesn't need a permit. But the problem is, it's never just a repair. It's rarely just a repair.
Like I said, if you'd like to have them come to a
Well,
meeting.
let's talk about it
Okay,
offline.
okay, good.
This is,
Okay, committee reports. We will have, I think, one more meeting before the Citizens' Day Parade, which is in conjunction with the 375th final event.
Right, there's no
Okay.
meeting today, but the next one will be in September, early September.
Okay. And we're starting to get, Anita tells me, we're starting to get replies from state elected officials and other town officials, from other towns, I should say. Any old business? New business? I have none. Public forum, I don't see anybody in the room. All right, item 18. I'm just going to remind everybody, before I forget, we are not going to adjourn the meeting, we're just going to recess the meeting, hoping to reconvene later and have a report from the finance director, hoping she's feeling better later. So just as a thought. 18, consider,
and Joe, you might just point out for the camera, because Mike's not gonna be here.
Right.
The reason we would do that is what we will do in the continued meeting
will affect the Board of
affects the
Finance.
Board of Finance
Right,
tonight.
Which tonight.
So,
They will see it on tape at the Board of Finance meeting.
right,
So we're not going to,
right.
that's a good point.
We're not doing anything secretive, we
Right.
just need to keep things in order.
Consider and take possible, and if she's not there tonight, that won't happen. Consider and take possible action on a donation of additional sick leave for a town employee, and executive session will be required. I'm going to invite the fire chief, and that's it. Okay. I need a motion to go into executive session. Mike will be coming back for a vote.
I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I need a vote to come out of executive session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, do we have any,
We got to vote.
yeah, I need to have a motion to extend sick leave. Do I have a motion,
I
please?
would move that we approve the donation of 10 hours of sick leave as presented in the confidential memo for a member of NAGE.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. One order of business before we recess. I don't have the memo with me, but I did notify the board that we received a number of checks from the Lions Club to various town organizations. And I did write a letter back to Mr. Passes, who was, I think, the president of the Lions Club, and thanked him on behalf of the Board of Selectmen in the town of Guilford for their generous donations to various town agencies. And again, I want to publicly thank them. So, okay. So noted. I need a motion to go into recess till 3 o'clock this afternoon.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Okay, good afternoon. We're back from recess. Again, this is the regular meeting of the Board of Finance. It's August 18th, 2014.
Board of Selectmen.
Excuse me, Board of Selectmen, thank you. Talking about finances, I forgot. And it's now 3 o'clock Monday afternoon, and we're reconvening from recess of our morning session. We tabled item 5, which is the Finance Director's report, but before we go to item 5, I would entertain a motion to add to the agenda 5.3, and that was to add an item to, what was that, Sheila, you wanted to do, to add to the 2015?
Yeah, fiscal 15 transfers.
Okay, fiscal 15 transfers. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Is there a second? Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. We're back to 5.1, received a monthly report from the Finance Director. Sheila, you're on.
Okay, so this is the second version of the June 30th report. Last month you had the preliminary numbers, and these are still considered unaudited, but they're pretty close to being the final numbers. I don't usually have a lot of adjustments that are made once we close the year, and the auditors rarely have any entries, so it's pretty close. But I'm still working on, like last, little fine details, so there may be something, nothing material. So we've actually had a great year. We've collected, on the town local side, 100%, 100.28% of our budget. And that's $228,476 more than we budgeted. On the state side, we collected $160,068 more than we budgeted, giving us a grand total revenue surplus of $388,544. Now, there's one little caveat here. It's a good one. I actually wrote off a receivable that I booked last year for the municipal revenue sharing account. It was about $100,000. Thinking that we weren't going to get it, I didn't think we received it. It was misposted, and I just found we did get it. So I wrote it off here, and now I'm going to add it back. So our revenue surplus is actually $488,000, not $388,000.
So that's an even 100.
It's $102,000.
Okay.
Mhm. And that's what we're doing now. We're going through every, posting to make sure everything looks good. And for some reason, I wanted to look at that again, and we did get it. So
Forgive me for asking, but if you misposted 100 somewhere else.
one check. It was in a balance sheet account instead of in revenue. It's okay.
Okay.
a little bit unusual. You know, we're looking at accounts receivable right now. That's an area that we don't normally book accounts. You know, accounts receivable is in government is under modified and accrual basis, so it's only very short. You have to actually know you're going to get that check. You can't book a receivable for anything you're not like. You can't. It's measurable and available are the criteria. So that one, there was a lot of controversy at the state level about that. It was the last 2 months of the year. They were supposedly not going to pay us for sales tax, our share, and we did get it, so. Okay, so that's good news. Anything that you
Okay.
want to ask about revenue? Okay.
So just one question on
Yeah.
on the revenue. We exceeded our budget on tax collection by 100.21%. Was that due to prior year taxes being?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And the 30-day accrual is also recorded there, so the funds that we collected in July are also recorded back to June. Yeah, and if you look at the backup, the detail, it's basically in the prior year taxes. We collected $102,000 more than we budgeted.
Okay.
Quantapug.
That's right.
Association.
That's right.
Among others,
That's right. That's right.
right?
Possibly.
Not
Very small.
not that much of it, but some.
You could see that we actually paid refunds of $146,000, and that's a number we don't budget for, and we collected $176 more. So usually those two numbers pretty much equal out. In other words, if someone pays their taxes twice, let's say, and then we have to refund it in the same year, you'll see a surplus on the current taxes, and then you'll see a minus on the refunds for the same amount. In this year, we actually collected $30,000 more than we refunded, so that helped as well.
Okay, good. Okay.
Okay.
Any questions on revenue? Okay. Talking
Okay.
about expenses?
Expenses, okay. We obligated 97.9% at June 30th versus 95.3% last year. The encumbrances are still showing here. Many times you've seen reports that are final that don't show the encumbrances, but I listed them for you. There's still $180,000 that are going to be paid. Bills are coming, and that's factored into the available balance, which is $654,747 that we have not expended, nor will we need to expend. The Board of Ed is showing $586,000 on this report, but they haven't completed their adjustments yet. I understand it's going to be between $40,000 and $50,000 surplus. So the total town surplus of $1,241,000 on this report is a little bit misleading, but when we get to where we're going to end the year, we'll just look at our town side, which is $654,747. You'll notice on the HR employee benefits line, there's a deficit of $115,000 there. And that's because I transferred an additional amount for considering, to be considered a contribution to the medical benefits fund to cover the deficit for the year, what we anticipate the deficit for the year is going to be, and last year's as well, the total fund balance deficit. So we could look at that when we get to medical benefits. The Board of Ed also contributed $250,000 last month. So, I guess, well, we could look at that.
You want to
now.
go to the medical now?
Yeah, why don't we do that now? So, the medical, I'll give you a second. Do you want to share?
No, I've got it. I'm sure it's in. Oh, I'm in the wrong package, that's why.
Okay. So basically in red down towards the bottom under notes, the Town and Board of Ed revenue column includes an additional $250,000 from the Board of Ed and $395,000 from the town. So that made us whole basically. So if you go to the bottom, that gives us a projected surplus for the year of 228,000. But remember, we started the year with 224,000 in the minus. So we're ending up with a fund balance, for all intents and purposes, even 3,274. So the 250 and the 395 are included in the expenditure report. And even with that number, we're still showing a $654,000 surplus. Our number is 395. So we'll address the $115,000 shortage when we get to the transfer section. Now, the only thing on the medical that's not here yet, because I don't have it from Anthem, is the change in the incurred but not reported claims. We don't usually get that number until September. I don't anticipate it's going to be a big change from the number that we have booked now, which is 864,000. It could be a little, $100,000 more or so, and we could decide at any time to transfer money from undesignated fund balance to the medical benefits fund if we chose to.
So right now, we are pretty much whole at the end of 2014 in the medical benefits account. Okay.
Prior to recording the IBNR, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
So we use whatever surplus we had at the end of the 2014 fiscal year to offset any deficits in this account. Let's say it another way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Good. So we start off the year clean.
we do.
Okay. Good.
And I did include a fiscal 15 report in your packet. I don't know if you want to just go to that now or.
Why not?
Okay. So we had a really good month in July.
Joe, just before we get to
Go ahead.
that, Joe, I just comment, I missed that meeting in which you discussed it, but I shot you an email,
Yeah.
and you guys did what I would have wanted you to do
Well, I'm glad
if
to
I
hear
were
that.
here, so I guess whether
Thank
I'm
God.
here or not, we're in agreement. No,
And the Board of Finance concurred with
yeah, I
with
just
our
thought that was
suggestion.
the,
It made sense, I thought.
yeah,
to do it that
just
way. Yeah.
clean it up,
Right.
so, thank you.
Thank you.
So for
Sheila?
fiscal 15, we had a great month, $691,306 with the claims. And looking back at last year's report, it's lower than any month, even in fiscal 13. So it's very low, so I got a little skeptical about this. And so I did a little research, and I knew that there was some big withdrawals in August coming out of, they debit our account every day, Anthem, for claims. So I looked at how much they've actually debited from the 1st to the 15th, and it was like $1.3 million. So I think that what's going to happen is it's going to kind of even out, level out a little bit. The average claim that we budgeted for is $1.1 million. So we're going to be close.
Yeah.
Now, we already have 2 individuals that have reached 50% of the stop loss, which is now $150,000. Neither of those 2 individuals were on last year. This is something that we kind of talked about. One is a child. So we're watching that. They're most likely they're going to hit the stop loss next month if they haven't already. So we're gonna watch the trends on that. And that, unfortunately, it's tragic, but it's the stop loss will help us in these cases. So we'll just continue to keep it. I'm starting from the first month. We'll do what we can do to keep an eye on it. But it already looks like we did the right thing with the stop loss. Okay.
And when they weren't on the stop loss report, but they possibly had expenses in 14?
I can look at that. They did not exceed 50% of the stop
Right,
loss. They weren't
okay.
on the report.
Yes, but the stop loss in the 2014 was 225,000.
Yeah, it didn't
Right.
exceed
Yeah.
112,000, and
Right.
that's, I can, look and go
Right.
back, but that would mean I have to request a report from Anthem, because they don't send us monthly.
Yeah, no,
It's not necessary.
it's not necessary, I'm just thinking how fast they got there.
That's right.
Right.
They're generating an awful lot of
There were,
expenses.
and maybe I'll have that for tonight, there were like 18 catastrophic claims of, individuals last year that we ended the year, so I'm wondering if any of those are gonna, pop up next month.
And sometimes, unfortunately, as sicknesses progress, the expenses get eaten up quickly as the disease progresses, so,
And vice versa, sometimes at the very beginning, if there's like a surgery,
yeah.
that could be
Right.
fees.
Mhm. Yeah. You don't know.
No.
You don't know.
And if you can't, there's not really much.
Okay.
Yeah, you might point out, in case people are watching, that these are just numbers, we don't have
Oh, no.
names, so none of us know who these are.
No.
They're
No,
HIPAA
no,
protected,
no, no.
and we
We
just
don't.
have a code number.
Right, and that's why we don't even see monthly
Right.
reports of,
Right.
Okay. Any more on the medical?
No, that's all for the medical. We could probably go back to expenditures for a minute. So there are some, but departments that have deficits, 83,000 in legal, which we knew we were gonna have to deal with, and we're gonna
Yeah, we
deal with
talked
it.
about that.
Right, and there were some workers' comp issues too that we can kind of talk about in conjunction with the transfers, but in the case of the fire department and communications, there were some pretty difficult workers' comp cases that were, individuals had to be replaced. In communications, you have no choice but to have, we don't have a replacement account in communications, we have overtime. So that account was high there. In fire, we had one individual who was out since 2013. So not only did we have to pay his portion of the workers' comp, because the insurance doesn't pay for 100%, but then we had to replace him. So it was a tough year in fire and communications for that. But we still managed to end up with a $654,000 surplus. Public Works did fine amidst all the snow removal and the storms. We were able to get some FEMA money that came back in that I didn't accrue for last year, because I tried to be conservative last year, so that worked in our favor this year. And looks good.
You want to go over the transfers that we have to make?
Yes. So I did the transfer. You have one piece of paper. It's a little bit different format than what you've seen before, because I sort of wanted to show you how everything flows, although it's still a little bit convoluted, I have to admit. So I tried to separate the transfers that would come from contingency from those that would come from reserve personnel. On the contingency side, the 83,000 for the legal will need to transfer to cover legal.
Which, in a sense,
Is-
reserve for
I
personnel
know.
is a contingency.
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, all right.
but generally, we've always used contingency, so to cover any legal deficits. On fire, their total department was over by 153,054. I divided that into basically what I thought, and this is a loose number, it may not be exactly this, but it's close, and in the end, it doesn't really make a difference to our bottom line, but it's 130,469 that I feel is personnel related, and then 22,585 is non-personnel, and it had to do with some unanticipated vehicle repairs. So that we'll take that from contingency and the 134,69 from reserve for personnel. And then just flipping back up to economic development, $175. We can't have a department exceed their budget, so that was due to the individual economic development supervisor's contract that was signed after the budget was put together. And that's a small amount, $175. And that may not be the actual amount of his contract, the change, that's just the amount to cover the deficit in the department, that's all we need to do. On capital, no, I'm sorry, on employee benefits, you remember the 115,000 that we were over on the report because we took the 395 and moved it to Anthem. So we need to cover the 115. And then I also need to cover the 130, 469, and the 175. This is the part that's a little tricky to visualize. So I need to put 246,000 in transfer from contingency. Okay? So I could cover the 136.44 that's coming from reserve for personnel. Karen, this may be tricky.
She'll give you a worksheet on this one.
And then we had a surplus in debt service interest of 400,000. Basically, that was there because I wasn't sure at the time if we would need a budget for the high school bands or any, debt that we may have issued that we, didn't anticipate. It was there as a placeholder. It was important that we had it there, but we didn't need it. So we are going to do a transfer later on at the bottom of this worksheet, but for now I didn't have enough money in contingency to cover the transfers from above, so I had to take it from debt service. And contingency, I could only take 175 out of. Okay, so this all works, it's just a little bit convoluted. I didn't want to take money from other departments. For example, the police department had $129,000 surplus, and I could have easily transferred money from their budget line to fire. But I didn't really want to do that because then that would, it would adjust their budget down, and it really would kind of skew what their operations look like, and I didn't think that was fair. So I took it from debt service, and we know, I think that's.
It's clearer this way.
I think it is. I think it's fine.
And just a comment on the police department, they were down at least 2 officers for most of the year. So that's why they had that.
Right, and they have different staffing
They do.
criteria.
Yeah.
So they're able to kind of meet their budget a little bit easier than the fire where they can't. So.
And they had some retirees too,
Right, yeah.
early in the year, yeah.
Sheila, I guess I'm a little confused because I'm looking at the debt service interest line. You've transferred 211 out and left a balance of 188, but if
Yeah.
I look down below, it looks like you're transferring 400.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. I
Okay.
know it's confusing.
It's a little convoluted, I agree.
Okay.
So let's just, maybe if I give you a recap, if we keep going, and then maybe the top will make more sense. So if we go to the section where it says results of operations, we talked about revenue, having a revenue surplus of 388,544.
Right.
Plus 102, but we won't, we can add that later. Then the town surplus, 654,747, and that also is on this middle column right above.
Yeah.
And then Board of Ed said about 40 to 50, so I just put 40. So the results of operations, 1,083,291. That's gonna fall to unassigned fund balance.
Mm-hmm.
Then, now, any budgetary transfers above are really just between line items, so they don't affect the bottom line. It's going from one line to another line. We still have, the results of operations still remain the same. Okay, so there were some items that we talked about throughout the year that we thought were important, and these are things that we talked about with the Board of Finance as well. From the 1,083,291 that's going to fall to assigned fund balance, we then want to transfer. It's a below the line. If you picture a financial statement, it's a below the line transfer. It's below after your profit or loss.
After operations, yeah.
We want to transfer 400,000, which is what we had left in
Debt service.
in debt service, to reserve it for future high school debt service, basically in 15, 16, and 17, to kind of smooth out the new debt service that's going to come on for the high school. So we're not taking that from the line item, we're taking that from assigned fund balance. So it's below the line fund balance it's going to be from unassigned fund balance to an assigned fund balance. And then we're going to move 53,243, which we've done for several years, which was what was left in retirement sick pay for those employees that will retire. They didn't retire this year, we thought they might, but they didn't, and they will get paid for their sick time because they've been here prior to 1994. And then reserve for contracts, those are the contracts that are still remaining to be resolved this year. We already have some funds left in that assigned fund balance that we didn't need, so the combination of the two will give us enough. It's basically just GEA that's outstanding, and fire, well, no, this would be for fiscal 14,
Right.
so just GEA. And then, unfortunately, we have to ask for another item to be continued in force, and we try not to do that as much as we used to, but in this case, it's important. It was $65,000 that was in capital. It's for the carpeting in Town Hall in this building. And our facilities director really suggested that we didn't replace the carpets until the windows were completed, and those are, you've already approved that contract and they're on order, so that could be a couple of months. And then we didn't know if we wanted to replace them in the winter with the snow. So we need to continue that in force. We don't have a vendor yet. If we had a vendor, we could encumber it. So we're gonna continue that in force. So those transfers of fund balance total $576,279. If you subtract that number from the $1,083,000, which is the results of operation, you come out with a net increase to what we call fund balance, undesignated, unassigned, of $507,012,
Plus the 102.
plus the 102.
So 609,012.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what we told the rating agencies we were gonna have. I think we were probably closer to just a little over 5.
5, yeah.
They'll be very happy about this. They don't put a lot of weight on our current year projections because they like audited results, but they're really gonna be very happy when our projections exceed, our actual numbers exceed the projections.
So we would need, when we get to the point, a recommendation to the Board of Finance to make a recommendation to transfer, to make transfers of what number now? That's the number I'm looking for.
Would be, from contingency, it would be $175,000.
Okay,
And from debt service, it would be $211,122.
right?
And from reserve for personnel, or actually, yeah, we could say HR, employee benefits, actually, $130,644.
130,644.
That's where where the money's coming from.
Okay,
Transferring from.
so those are the 3 accounts we transferred them from.
Right.
Okay. And 2,
And
based
2
on here.
Right,
the
2 would
schedule.
be legal, 83,000,
Right.
economic development, 175.
Right, fire,
Fire, 153, 054.
right,
And communications, 34, 107.
right.
And then back to employee benefits, 246, 430.
Okay. And then we could, assuming we approve it, this document would become part of the minutes.
Yes,
That's part of the motion, okay.
yes, yes.
Okay,
And so you make a recommendation to the Board of Finance.
okay.
Can I go back to my question?
Sure, we haven't done anything yet.
On the 400?
Yeah, I'm not an accountant,
Okay.
but, so why do we transfer the 400 to transfer 211 out of it to move it somewhere else? I mean, is that an
No.
accounting requirement to do it that way?
Yeah, I needed to cover the overage in the departments that were over from another budgetary line item. I had to do it.
Okay.
So that was the easiest way to do it without skewing another department's budget.
Okay, so essentially you're using the debt service, the interest reserve as another contingency.
The interest
kind of.
reserve
A
will-
sub-contingency, because it's not a departmental requirement.
No, the debt service interest that I took, the 211,000, is a department. It's part of our operating budget.
Okay.
All right, so it has to, it had a surplus, and I have the ability to transfer from that line because it's a budgetary line item. It's
Oh,
a budgetary department, actually. Then, so I only ended up with 188,000 left as a surplus in debt service interest. But when you're looking at transferring fund balance within the fund balance group, where there's assigned and unassigned and committed, that has to do with the total of your surplus for the year, which it was a different number. So does that not make sense?
It does. It affirms why I spent my career in for-profit, not non-profit, because non-profit accounting always had.
I agree with you.
All non-profit accounting always
Well,
has these.
the other thing too, I think what Sheila's trying
Illogic.
trying to preserve is the actual operation of each individual department.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And when we had years where one department would be $100 under or over, you could change.
And I
it wouldn't,
did do that, right.
it wouldn't disturb the integrity of one department over the other. But we get the police department, which is 120,000
Yeah.
under, and you didn't want to penalize that department, saying, hey, you guys did real good, but I'm taking your surplus and giving it to the fire department. That would distort
Right.
the operation or the results of that department when we go to do a budget for next year.
This
And we're
makes
always
it,
analyzing.
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
makes a clear trail, financial trail.
And basically, we took our surplus and we applied it to areas where we were gonna need it next year or the following year, and so it's really good, it's good financial management. And you do that based on your whole, you take your surplus as a whole at that point, and then you allocate it. It just so happens that the 400 is debt service. It could have been anything. I could have been.
Right.
Right, okay.
All right, so actually, the 400 is part of the expenditure surplus, because it was budgeted for 1546.
That's right.
And it came in at 1146.
Yes,
So that's really the expenditure surplus, so then you're reallocating it down below in the transfer and then moving. Okay, I'm with you.
yeah.
I'm with you.
I think it's,
It was clear as mud, but it covered the ground.
and now it's clear as crystal. That's a good one.
Well, it's a
Okay, it's fun to count, and
the good part is that we got a surplus
well, the good part
to
is,
use.
the good part is we're doing it on a surplus.
Yeah, that's right.
We're not
We're not hitting
using
fund
Band-Aids
balance.
and glue to put it together. So yes, that's fine, and I do understand it now.
All right, so unless we have more questions, I'll entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Finance that we use the surplus and transfer it to cover the departments that have deficits, so, okay.
I'll move that.
Okay, based on the
Based on the calculation on this sheet here.
prepared by the Finance
The
Director.
815-14 sheet,
Okay.
that's fine. Great.
Motion made?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Anything you want to comment on?
Well, no, I was just gonna say, when you're done with that, you may wanna take the second part as well, or, so you have two motions, is that correct? One for the
have-
budgetary transfers and one for the transfers.
I think we included both of
Right,
them.
yeah.
Okay,
Both the
okay.
budgetary
Okay.
transfers and the transfers
Right.
as
Okay, good,
As laid out here.
Okay.
as laid out
Okay.
on this 815 sheet.
that's good.
Any further comments, discussion? I'll call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Then we have an item, 5.3, which is transfers for 2015. Sheila, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I can pass this out to you too. I met with the police chief on Friday afternoon, and I know he was anxious to have his budget revised.
Thank you.
Because when we put together the 2015 budget, the AFSCME contract had not been settled. And we had money in the 2015 reserve for personnel. So we had the funds budgeted, we just need to move them from reserve for personnel to the police department budget. I did an analysis for, I think for this board, for the first selectman, and I came within about $2,000 of the cost of the contract for 2015. My calculations that were done 6 months ago and the chiefs that were done, a week or two ago, and so we agree, basically. And we have enough in reserve for personnel, so the amount that we are asking to transfer is $243,753. $1,000.
43 what?
$243,753,000.
Where is that number here?
Actually, that number is not netted out of this report.
Mhm.
I think I have another page with a, that I could copy, well, you can take a look at it. Those are the line items. We don't do line items, line item transfers, because we don't want to set a precedent, and we've had that issue before. We don't want, the legal, the budgets are adopted on a departmental basis.
Mhm.
So we just ask for the 243,000 as one number, and then I put it into the correct line items. But that's the breakdown. It spans between full-time, part-time, overtime, replacement, training,
243.
and uniforms, outside services donated.
243, 753, right? Okay. Now, this will appear on your 2015 reports as your revised budget in this
Yes,
department?
yes.
Okay, all right. And then you would reduce the reserve for personnel?
Yes,
And that will show a revised number?
yes.
Okay, so, understood.
Yeah, and we're fine. We have a few, extra dollars in reserve for personnel that we didn't need, because we always, try to be
Okay,
conservative if we can.
okay.
But it was,
So when we see the August reports, it will be in effect then?
yes, and
Revision.
so that will be nice. So they
Okay.
will, it won't look like the police department is over budget because we hadn't made the transfer.
Okay,
Right.
good. Okay,
Now, you're still gonna see, I still have to do this for NAGE and GSA, I believe. So those will come
yes,
next
they
month.
just settled, right?
But this was big, and the chief did ask me to do this, so I said I would try to get it through.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Can I have a motion? please?
I would move that we make the transfer of 243,753 from reserve for personnel into the police salary budget
And this
for
is-
2015.
Right, okay,
Or recommend to the Board of Finance
right,
that be done.
there you go. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for a question, I'll call for a vote rather on the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, thank you. Sheila, anything else you want to bring forward on that?
No, I think that's everything for general fund
Okay.
and medical.
Okay, all right,
Perfect.
great. I'm glad you're feeling better, we're able to
Thank
come this
you.
afternoon.
I'm
Okay,
sorry that.
No
I
problem.
inconvenienced you
You're
all.
glad you feel better, too.
Appreciate the selectmen being able to come back this afternoon so we can reconvene the meeting. And if there's no further business, I'll call for a vote to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Karen, for being able to fit in. Mike, thanks for coming back. Okay, meeting's adjourned at